Hey everyone, here's the test that I'm going to be running today. This is the top plate, so obviously that's going to be turned around 180 degrees and bolted on top. And then I've got a USB-C breakout here running up to a JST, and I've made a little wire, which means that I can get the black box data off that without taking the entire Siccario to pieces. And what I want to know really is which of these gyros performs best. All three flight controllers are taking a signal from this nano here. So the next thing to do is bolt it all together, and let's see how it performs. Okay, here we go, no payload test. So here, this one is the Matek, and I've we're logging at 4K, which means you start off with everything from 0 Hertz right up to 2000 here. Anything after the low pass filter and the gyro, all of this has just already been filtered out, so there's not a lot of point looking at that. So I'm just going to match these up, so these are both the same. That's both at 500 Hertz there. And you can see on the pitch here, things are looking fairly similar. The iFlight with the 20689 in it is performing maybe a little bit better around here, but very similar to the Matek here, which is all good. And then here, so this is the SP Racing H7. And I've also put this at 500 Hertz, but if you notice, it has decided that the max motor noise is at 236. It's actually 80 Hertz different to the Matek. The Matek and the iFlight here are actually both pretty similar, but for some reason the SP Racing is reporting everything at a higher frequency than it is. I mean, it is possible that both the other gyros are wrong, or both the other flight controllers are wrong, but I think it's probably something to do with the way Black Box Explorer is interpreting this. So it looks like everything's happening further down, which, if it was, would be a bad thing. But I think in reality, to make a fair comparison, if we just stretch this a little bit, we kind of end up with a more comparable graph here, and you can see a little bit more noise here compared to the Matek, and also a little bit more here as well. The 20689 is kind of considered to be a replacement for the MPU6000, which is what the Matek has, so it would make sense that it performs slightly better. And if we then go and have a look at the roll details, now you can see that the noise here jumps right up, and I'm pretty sure that this is because of the tune on the drone. It's being tuned specifically for I think 1.6 kilo payload, and because that's not on there, I'm getting p-term oscillations which are bringing up this noise. But fortunately, it's kind of useful for comparing gyros, because we've got more noise which we can look at, so that's quite handy. And you can see here the MPU6000 is just a little bit better, a little bit less noise coming around here. This is, there's definitely more noise in this area. And then the SP Racing, it's sort of the same story really. It's just a little bit noisier. And so the next thing I'm going to do is put a payload on the drone, and we'll see what happens then. Alright, so here is a test with the payload. It's really windy today, but yeah, the tune definitely, without the payload on it, is oscillating. You can see it in the black box log. So I've added a 2 kilo LiPo. I know it's not in the right place, but actually we want to give the flight controllers a hard time at the moment, so it doesn't matter that the weight's not right. Right, let's give it a little spin. See how much the wind's getting to it. Alright, one little punch out. And that should be all the data that we need. Alright, this is the data with a 2 kilo payload underneath the Siccario, which has actually brought the noise down on the roll axis. So I was hoping that it would, and that is the case. There's another test that I want to do where I'm going to actually rotate the flight controller that's controlling the motors by 90 degrees and just make sure that the noise doesn't follow the axis that it's on at the minute, and I'll show you that in a second. But let's compare these. So here we've got the Matek and the iFlight, and also this is the SP Racing H7. What I'm going to do is just put them all on top of each other like this, and then we can cycle through them. So let's start with the Matek. It's looking like that. This is the SP Racing H7 with the 20602s, and you can see that is a lot noisier. And then this next one, there we go, that's the iFlight, and this is on the roll, which was previously much noisier than this. Okay, so I'll spare you another flight video, but essentially what I've done is just turned the iFlight flight controller, the one in the body of the drone, round by 90 degrees. And now, if that noise moves, it's due to the gyro, and if it stays where it is, then it's due to the frame. So it'll be interesting to find out. I'm pretty sure that it's just to do with the weight distribution on the frame and the fact that it's overtuned. Okay, so fortunately the noise has stayed on the roll axis, even though the flight controller was rotated 90 degrees, which means that the issue is definitely just something to do with the tune, which is not going to be difficult to address. The payload is off the drone again at this point, so you can see that the noise has jumped right up, and it's just overtuned. Now that little concern is sorted out, we can finish up here. So this is the flight with payload, and we're looking at the pitch axis again, which was the cleaner axis. There's no p-term oscillation in the black box logs really on this, so we're getting much less noise, which is quite nice. Over here we've got the Matek, and you can see over here on the iFlight, this is the one with the ICM20689s. You can see that is faithfully appearing there as well, but overall, you know, they're looking really, really similar. Maybe here is looking a little bit better on the iFlight. And then if we look over onto the SP Racing board, you can see that it's just a little bit more sensitive to noise. Like these peaks are kind of much higher, much more pronounced. If I just swap back to the iFlight there, you can see that is so this is the SP Racing again. You can see that is definitely more noise, and that drops back down again when you look at the iFlight. Dominic from SP Racing said that the reason he's gone with that gyro is for racing it's got much better shock resistance, so if you have a crash it's more likely to survive, which is obviously critical if you've got a race drone. Hopefully a Cinelifter, you're not going to be having much impact. They're really not built to take it anyway, so that could mean that the 20689 is, you know, a potential good option on that setup. I think for this build that I've been testing on, I'm going to leave the iFlight board in because the performance is so close to the MPU6000, and actually in a lot of cases the results are just ever so slightly better. Thanks for checking out the video. The next one is probably going to be on building power redundancy into one of these Cinelifters. So if you're interested in that, hit the subscribe button. Thanks a lot.